The same concept.
The same location.
2 photographers.
2 different results.
The concept. Okay, so what do we have today?
Let's find out.
Your turn.
Okay, so the theme or the concept we have is transformation, which to me, I mean, that screams Brooke to me. I mean, how many shots she has, like, people warped and transformed into weird stuff. But the location is my choice. So if I wanted to be mean, I would say my studio because that makes it harder on you. But actually what I'm thinking is the first time that I met Brooke, we actually met online. Was it Facebook? Through Facebook? Mm-hmm. Okay, we met through Facebook. I sent her a message because I saw that she wanted to come to New York and she needed a space. And so I messaged her and like, hey, you can use my space. But I knew that she didn't shoot studio, so I didn't really know what she was going to do. And what she ended up doing is using the stairway, right?
Yeah.
She used the stairway and made beautiful images for her workshop. So I think I'm going to propose something similar, like going back to where we started. Let's put it this way, in this building.
Got it.
Okay, it can be wherever in this building either one of us want to shoot. That's going to be my proposal. Okay. So what are you thinking for transformation?
Well, transformation. It's true. I do work with this theme all the time, and transformation to me is very similar to rebirth and things like that, which I love to deal with. So I'm going to take transformation in that way, and I'm not entirely sure what my shoot is going to consist of yet, but I know that I want to bring nature inside because I didn't get to do that for my last shoot. I used the tin cans and it was really fun and everything, but for me, I just feel more in my element when I can bring the dirt inside and leaves.
She wasn't going to do that in my space. I'm half kidding.
So instead, I'm going to do that this time, and maybe something with growth and rebirth and a human transforming into nature. So I don't know where I'm going to go from there, but that's, I think, where I want to jump off from.
Cool.
You?
Well, just on that theme, so I directed this video, which was called Rebirth, but in French, and it was really creepy and kind of twisted, and I shot it. I'm like, could not wait to show Brooke because I knew that she would like it, and she did because it was so her. So I just think that's cool that a lot of times we do similar themes, and I was even just talking earlier today to a couple people how we're totally different, but there's a lot of the themes, like we both like red and rebirth and things like that. So it's really cool to see totally different, but some similarities as well. So I don't know yet what I'm doing either. I'm going to think about it. But what I'm thinking is, when I think transformation, on either end of the scale of transformation, the beginning or the end, you don't know that something transformed. So I'm thinking about trying to capture something in between. So maybe, like, the direction I'm thinking is a girl maybe, I don't know, maybe painted black with like start of wings or something growing out of her. So it's like halfway between human and creature. So it's like it's its own creature, but you know that it's probably evolving into something else. I don't know yet. I think something dark, because I definitely want to get in the studio again before she has another choice and takes us outside. That being said, I shoot outside all the time, but I want to make sure I get my really dramatic lighting in here. So yeah, I'm thinking black, dark, mysterious. Transformation to me. Rebirth sounds bright and high key and happy. Transformation to me can be kind of darker. I'm thinking even like, what was that, what was the Natalie Portman movie?
Black Swan.
That one. I don't know. Okay. The Black Swan, like that kind of thing too. Maybe something kind of like that. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Black Swan, transformation, dark, mysterious, mess, black paint, something like that. So
Sounds
that's
good.
where I think I'm going.
I really like the elevators that are in this building, so that was my first thought, was to go to the elevators to see if we could shoot on them. And we're going to try to do that, but I don't know that we're going to get permission. It's up in the air. There are only 2 elevators. Somebody might not let us shoot, and we obviously cannot commandeer the elevator and fill it with dirt. So that brings me to my next thing, which I'm going to be filling a space with dirt. And I want it to be very similar to the snow shoot that we did, in that it's going to be a small section of dirt and not filling a whole room with it or anything like that, because we don't have a small enough room to shoot in where we could fill the whole thing with dirt. So we're gonna do a small section. I'm going to have the model posing really elegantly in that dirt. So she'll be sort of kneeling and arching her back and sort of in this elegant sort of pose as if she's coming up out of the dirt. And after I do that, I'm going to get some leaves, and I'm going to place them all around the scene so it looks like leaves have fallen, but then I'm going to take one leaf in particular and photograph it so that I can make it look much larger in the scene. And then I'm going to take that leaf and put it over her face and head so it's sort of coming off of her, transformed around her, and you'll be able to see her face through the leaf. So it's a little bit weird to describe, but, and I hope it works out. I've done this as a test before, which is what's funny, because it's like Lindsay's been saying, you have these ideas that have been stored in your mind for a little while. And I tried this about a year ago, and a year ago, the picture didn't work out. And I'll show you, because I have it on my computer here. And it's a picture that I don't hate, but it just didn't quite have that same feeling that I really wanted. So I'm gonna try again with that leaf and try to get it to look nice and natural on her body. And then if it does, if it's looking really cool, then maybe I'll try other places too, getting some leaves layered onto her body so it really looks like she's transforming. That's the plan. Any questions?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I hope so. We shall see.
So the direction that I'm expecting to go would be really dark and mysterious. I'm thinking will either be a black or white background, solid seamless, because that's usually what I shoot on. Because I find that if I do like something really avant-garde and then there's a crazy background too, it's too much. Like focus on one thing, you know, graphic and mysterious instead of everything going on. So I'm thinking we're gonna paint our model black, and I directed my wardrobe as Lisa, and I asked her if she could get something with like kind of weird growth or like something out of it. So the dress that she's shown me has these cool little juts out at the hips and in interesting shapes. So in Photoshop, I could take those and multiply them out so it looks like they're growing out of her, and then take that same area and then move maybe that up to the shoulder so things growing out of her. I could do that. Paint her black, and then one of the things I have not done so far is shoot red. I love red, and I haven't shot red, and it's killing me. So I'm gonna try to find a way to work in red, like maybe red hair into that, because transformation. I'm also thinking like if something's transforming into it, I think of blood, like in Black Swan, you know, it's kind of the bleeding and the picking. So like red is symbolic of that to me. So maybe red hair, maybe some kind of red makeup. But we'll see. I don't.
Some blood where the stuff's coming out.
Yeah, or like just a red something, but not too. We'll do overall symbolic, not too literal.
Not too graphic,
Yeah, not too graphic. But I gotta see first how the model does with,
Yeah.
because she has not been warned. I picked Veronica that we actually photographed already because she liked me, and so I thought she might be a little more into
Malleable.
doing that, because some people are like, if you mention something like that, they freak.
Yeah.
But she, by the end of the day, she was friends with all of us. You know,
Yeah.
she was super cool. So I'm hoping that she's into it. So that's where I'm starting. We'll be in the studio on black or white seamless, and I'll hopefully peek in on Brooke when she's doing hers as well.
So I went and scouted this morning, and I found elevators that I really, really loved, but I didn't know if we could use them. So my original plan was to shoot in the elevators, and my backup plan was to shoot out in the loading dock area where you still had natural light filtering in, but a bit of a darker background, and I really liked the floor there. So that's what I thought was going to be my plan B. So we went to go talk to the elevator people. I don't know what they're actually called. We're just going to call them elevator people. And they said that we had to wait to see if somebody else would be available to open the elevator. It was a big thing, and we waited for about 30 minutes or so. And at the end of that time, nobody really came to let us know what was happening. So I went ahead with plan B, and I shot in the loading dock. I did my whole concept. I dumped a whole bunch of dirt out that had been gathered earlier in the day. And after I dumped the dirt, I put some leaves in, and then I photographed my concept, which ended up being very abstract and nothing that you could really see in the camera at the moment. So my concept ended up being that I was creating a giant leaf that was going to run up the chest of the model and then envelop her head, so then you can see parts of her face through it. So that's something that will probably just have to be seen to be completely understood, but It was definitely dealing with transformation.
Elevator or no?
We're still waiting.
They have it now.
Oh,
It's ready
it's too late.
upstairs. The one directly next to the studio.
I knew it.
Yeah, we're gonna do 2. I already dumped this out.
Okay, tell me.
We went ahead and found the elevator, and that was when it got really fun because it was such an inspiring place. And I was just going to redo the same concept in the elevator, but I was so freshly inspired by it that I decided to just change my mind and do something different. So I decided to do a self-portrait. So instead of shooting the model, even though I've loved her and she was fantastic, I decided that I felt more personally connected with this concept, so I did it as a self-portrait. So I'm going to do another image inspired by transformation, just because I was inspired by this location and it was really creepy and deathly and all that fun stuff that I like. So I decided that I would do this one partially as a self-portrait. So I'm going to create this image where I will be shooting myself as well as another model. So the shot is going to be me standing in the center with lots of me laying on the floor and reaching up to the dress all around. So it's going to be sort of ghostly images on the ground fading out, and then one center image standing tall. But I'm going to see if I can shoot from this angle because I am trying to make sure that I have a wide enough lens to do so.
Are you shooting 24?
I do, 28.
28? Perfect.
Yep. So I'm just going to check my settings and see what I've got going on here. Okay, so right now my camera settings, I'm at a 30th of a second for my shutter speed, and that should be just fine for what we're doing. I'm not going to be jumping around or anything. I'm at 2.5 for my f-stop, and I want to have a lot of fall off in my depth of field, and then ISO I kept at 640. I'm trying not to push that above 800, but I don't mind doing that if I have to. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this, could you sit over here, Caroline, for a sec? Now, we're wearing similar dresses, similar color. So what I'm going to do is have her stand in for me here. So she'll be standing in the center of the image, and I'm just going to use her dress as the believability shot. So I'm going to grab onto this fabric, so then when I composite myself into this image, it'll look like I'm actually grabbing fabric instead of just reaching and not actually touching anything. So I want to make sure that it looks really believable in the end. So I'm going to have you take a step back, and she's going to be my marker. So I'm going to focus on her and lock my focus down there, and then remember where that spot was. So if I could have you put your toes up to this line here. And I have to keep in mind that I'm a lot shorter than she is, and her head is just at the top of the frame, which is good, because that means that mine will be a little bit lower in the frame. So I'm focusing on her, taking my test shot, and I really like this lighting. I'm noticing, obviously, that it's coming from right above her here, and I wanted to shoot it this way where I wasn't shooting straight into the elevator because I didn't want her backlit. I didn't want the light to be too bright in the back. So I'm going to have her stand here and then turn her head to the light, or in my case, turn my head to the light when it comes time to shoot that part. Okay, so I have her in focus. I'm flipping a manual focus. And let me see if I have my remote in my bag here. All right, so first thing that I want to do is lay down on the floor like this, get into my position, and I want to hide my face. I'm not really looking to show my face a lot, so I'm going to always have my face angled away from the camera. I always have to hide my remote, and since I just got it really dirty, I'm not going to put it in my mouth like I sometimes do, but I'm just going to throw it to the side or hide it down my dress or something like that, wherever it's hidden. I could always just put it right behind her foot. It doesn't really matter. So my remote has a S and a 2S setting on it, so that's either the immediate shutter or the 2-second delay for a shutter, and I like the 2-second delay because it gives me time to hide my remote. Just like that. Now I'm going to go see how far out of the frame my feet are, because if they're too far out, I don't want to cut my body off at a weird spot, so I'm just going to check that. I'm going to curl my body in more. Like this. Okay. luxury of being able to check these each time. That was actually kind of cool. I was like in mid-fall, so I like it. Alright. I'm just gonna get all different positions here. This dress stinks so bad. It's not your fault. It's everybody else's fault. Okay. Oh, this is gonna require stuff. No. So I'm gonna check that, see how it's looking. Good, so I definitely got a lot of shots there. I'm just gonna move in for my main shot. So I'm just gonna take your place, then you can step out to that side. Oh, look, she has footprints. You see that? Perfect.
That's helpful when you try and find where she was standing.
Extraordinarily. And now I'm going to do one just moving the dress out like this. Now I don't want to go like that and fling it because I'm at low shutter speed. So I'm just going to gently move it. Just like that. So I'll check to see that I got the main shot. And I did.
Remote was in.
It was?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not for the main shot.
For the skirt movement shot.
Yes, that's okay. That's just for the skirt.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so hopefully I can create something from that. Now I'm actually gonna do it one more time. And the reason is because I'm cutting my body off a lot and I don't really want to cut my body off that much. So I'm gonna shoot it again. Not the main part, I've already got that, but I'm gonna have her standing again in the same spot. And I'm gonna tilt the camera down. So then when I turn this into a square, I can tilt the camera down and add in that floor part with all of the bodies on the bottom of the floor. So I'm gonna be standing here again. Here and here, I think your footprints were. That was so funny. Oh my god. I think it was dirt. Okay. So I'm going to try to work this ball head tripod that I don't know how to use.
Just turn them up.
Okay. You want me to help you? I got it. Thank you so much. So I'm leaving the focus. I'm not touching anything. Just doing the same thing again. I'll start on this side this time. And now I know that I can see to right here in the frame, so I know where my line is. And I know that I need more tension in how I'm reaching. So I'm gonna go ahead and have straight arms the whole time. This is not comfortable, just so you guys know. But it's fun. I have pink toes. You guys see that?
You have black and
They're black
brown.
feet. Oh good, I'll just rub it under your hand. Okay. So hopefully those will look better than the first set based on the changes that I knew I had to make. It's very intense, I'm just gonna say that. Okay, I really like that. So now I feel happy with this shot, which is good because I only have 4 shots left on my memory card.
So something that I think people should learn from Brooke for sure is that you shouldn't be afraid to ask. And I think that's one of the things that made the biggest dramatic change in my career is that, I would have never have asked to shoot in the elevator because I was told it's closed. And so to me, it's closed. And she's just like, oh, no, I'm going to ask. And so she got to shoot in the elevator, and it was great textures, really dark, really mysterious, fits, her entire style perfectly. And I think that's great. Even when someone says, no, you can't go there, well, the sign says I couldn't, but who can I ask that I can? So I recommend that you pass it on to yourself. So that's what you're doing. Ask if you can photograph that clothing. Ask if you can photograph an individual. Ask if you can photograph in that location. Just ask. The worst they say is no. So I'm really glad that worked out for her. And I was setting up my shoot at the same time as hers, so I only saw like 2 frames of what her scene looked like, and it wasn't even her images. I actually saw of one of the APs here, and it was creepy, it was mysterious, and it was something where you wanted to look long. You really wanted to look at it to explore that scene more. It wasn't something where you quickly digest it, and I think many of my images are some of those that you do quickly digest. It's about color, it's quickly about light. You see it catches your attention, but then maybe you move on. But that particular scene I loved because I was really looking deeper, trying to explore that scene. So I think it's going to be great, but I didn't get to see much of it. So this is one where I have no preconceived notion of what she's going to come out with, and so I can't wait to see what she does.
Shooting in the elevator was my favorite part of the day, and luckily we're in Lindsay's studio, so I have the chance to go back and maybe try again if they'll let me get in the elevator again. One thing that I didn't get to do was shoot the color red inside the elevator, and I was watching other people do it, and it was really inspiring to me, having that dark and dingy area filled with this bright color red. And not just, to me, the color red has so many connotations with it, like blood and life and death, and those are the things that I love to deal with in an image. So I would love to be able to go back to that space and create something with that. Then, given the amount of time that we had to create, it wasn't really feasible for me to grab that dress and do something else because I wanted to give everybody else time to do something amazing. So luckily, I get to sleep at Lindsay's studio, so I think that I'm going to get up really early and see what I can do with the red dress in the elevator tomorrow. But it was a really amazing day, and I feel really thankful that I am here to experience it.
Tell me, what are you going to do?
Well, it's very complicated. Well, we're gonna make first of all, to achieve this look, we need to have a gorgeous model. Ugly models don't work on this, because we need beautiful feature behind all this black paint. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a little bit of paint. Actually, we're gonna do a little manual to look like, to molding and make it perfect, and then we're just gonna airbrush everything just to give a smooth look and maybe some highlighting few part. We can maybe have some black nails or red nails just because we're gonna have a very maybe shapes, red, big hair or something. So to do some kind of contrast, and we can have maybe black lips all dark, or she can have some red lips in one, just to make it fun.
And so with the makeup, when you have the black, do you paint? So you airbrush on the highlights, right?
Yeah, we need to highlight to just help a little bit the lighting and.
And do you airbrush a lot? I've seen you do it. Like I've seen you do the foundation, but have you painted someone black?
Well, you need to do both. You need to do it's not just straight up airbrushing because it's kind of off. So then you're gonna Photoshop a lot.
Yeah.
So we need to try to help the photographer and make it perfect. So it's just a little touch up that the photographer is doing after work. So a little paint first, then airbrush to make it more smooth and beautiful. And then you're gonna have a very matte stylist after checking your clothes.
How do you make it knock it on the clothes?
So we need to have two kind of texture. We can have in the face very sheared and beautiful with real paint, and then in the body we need to have a water base, so it's matte, not sheer, so don't gonna come off of the clothes and stuff. Or alcohol base, but I don't like alcohol base, because then the model need alcohol to remove it, or a lot of oils and stuff like that, so it's very rough. So.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we always have to consider. Yeah, it's great to do all these cool ideas, but for example, if I want to throw powder or flower on one of my models for a shoot. Not going to happen with high-end clothing. It will not happen. So same thing with paint. It's got to be a special type that's not going to rub off or anything that you see. It's a mess. In the super high-end magazines, it's either because that is the fashion photographer that exists around, like he or she is the fashion photographer, and the designer says
like-
sure, or it's like old season, like previous season that was going to go to, be sold at sample sales and things like that anyway.
Yes.
But
Same like water. Like a water shoots, and you see all this flowing, beautiful dress. So I'm like, he is it's a lot of budget in this photo
Huge
shoot,
budget.
or
the
is
dress.
that like a $7.99 dress? Because it's not happening.
okay,
That's it.
cool, awesome, perfect. I want to try the difference between the two. No, not. That fire over here? Oh, I did. Alright, now I'm going to have you put your hands here. Yes, good. I'm just going to see if I can see any of that texture or not. Okay, and relax for a sec. So, this is what I have so far. Something like that. Got a lot of texture. It's dramatic. So it's
monstery.
and so I don't know whether to add more light down there to see it, because if you do, then it's not as dramatic. So
I think it's good.
okay, no, I'm testing out if I like the V-dish or the telezoom reflector better. Because the telezoom reflector is more contrast, so the highlights on her face go out, even though it's supposed to be solid black. But as long as they're retouched to be smooth and consistent, it'll be fine. But if you look at it when it's on her face, it's not smooth and consistent. So that's where the problem exists. If you look, see how that's not smooth, consistent highlight? So that won't be right in camera. Not much I can exactly do about it. If I still want, so I want the telezoom reflector or the long throw to give me kind of a little bit more drama in the jaw. I want it to be also just focused more around the face. I tried it with a beauty dish, but it didn't give the same effect. But you're looking at that, it's gonna have to be retouched. It's just how it is, because it's a shiny surface. So, actually this is inner, right? Alright, so what I have in the back, I have two, what they're called light bars or strip lights. And so what they do is they give you even highlights, head to toe. If you lower them, they'll catch the floor. But I'm just going for a little bit more focus on the face. Let's cut this down a bit. And it's just really dramatic. Black. You can see that she has her human skin partially. There's some of her human skin still there. Just that. Will you turn it down a little bit more? Turn it down to its lowest power. Okay. What a telezoom reflector or a long throw does is it focuses your light beyond belief. So even if you have your light at its lowest power, it's going to be bright. It's basically just a mirror. It bounces it around and kicks it back out. So that's why I'm trying to get those back highlights to show up. That's perfect. All right, so I'm going to show you what I have so far. All right, so something like that. Okay, so the reason that the lighting is really important is if you have black on black, it's going to disappear. So the two light bars give her the even highlights, and then the telezoom or the long throw focus light on her face. And I don't care if it falls out dark on her body. What I'm thinking is I'm going to try to get a couple pictures of these things, and maybe I'll just duplicate them out so they look a little bit fuller, a little bit more crazy. But you know, the way it gives you a center point, brings you back to her face. I feel like I wanted something right here, but I don't really know. You know, it would have been some kind of balance, but it also looks interesting to have it just disappear on the bottom. So I'm going to just shoot a bunch of different poses here. Honestly, for lighting, there's not much more you can do with that. If wanted to add, yeah, I might do that after, I totally agree. I might, like, depending on how important the dress is, I could add a softbox underneath to fill in the detail on the dress, but we're going for drama. So it's okay like to transform to disappear down the dress. So I don't need to see the bottom, so it's okay. All right, so I'm gonna shoot a bunch, and I'm gonna have you put your arms out like this a little bit, and I'm just gonna fix these. So her skin is painted black, and it is really shiny, and no matter what light I'm putting on her face, it's going to get really, really distracting reflections. I mean, that's what it's going to do. If I switch over to a softbox, it won't have as bright highlights, but there wasn't enough contrast to fit my scene. My scene is dramatic. I need a dramatic light, but when I switch over to something that has more contrast, like a long throw or telezoom reflector, you know, one of those kind of a deep dish, tons of contrast, fits the scene, focuses the light on her face, lets there be fall off down the body. But the problem that I run into is contrast means the highlights go brighter, the shadows go darker, which means those highlights on her face go really bright. And I was looking at her face, and the problem is the highlight, it wasn't really 100% flattering, because it was showing a lot of the texture in her skin, showing that this wasn't completely smooth, and there'd be some jagged edges. And guess what? One of the examples where you'd have to Photoshop. You know, if you want that drama and you want that contrast, you're going to get those highlights. There's not really a way around it to have both at the same time. So that's something that I know that I'll even out those highlights and make them less jagged in Photoshop. Sometimes it is something that you have to do. All right, so let's try fingers out like this, and then up just a little bit with your elbows. Good, and a little more flail to the fingers. Good, perfect. Eyes closed. All right, let's try. Would you plug this in, Bex? All right, so we're gonna try gel. And real quick, you guys can.
So we mixed two gels, a little red, a little rouge to kind of match.
So we got very dramatic. Very badass. Okay, so it looks cool. So let's try some red here. I'll let you know. Can you bring it way in, Becky? Because that main light, I'm probably said it focuses light, it'll overpower the crap out of that one. So I've got to move it in and turn it way up. Okay. Keep going. And then the second light, can you turn it up to 1 to 1? So just flip the second one to 1 to 1. Good, and then I might have you to pump it up even more. The shoot was dramatic. And I like dramatic. If you look at my photography, I don't think anyone would ever use the word subtle. That's definitely not part of it. And so I was going for transformation and not subtle. So for my wardrobe, I tried to get pieces, I had kind of leather bondage-ish pieces with cool graphic shapes, because I wanted to maybe work with that in Photoshop to have the model transform. And then part of what I was thinking is if she starts off, when you're thinking transformation, if you look at the beginning, you don't know there's a transformation. If you look at the end, you don't know, but it's the middle where you can see that transformation, so that's what I was trying to capture. So I have the girl painted black with interesting clothing, and I'm going to make it look like she's transforming into something. And my hair and makeup Griselle is wonderful, always does a phenomenal job, and the model Veronica, it is definitely not pleasant to do that. I know it's not. It's hot, it's trippy, it's itchy, and she was wonderful. You know, she stuck with me through that. And so what I thought was really interesting is that I shot what I expected to shoot. Dramatic, my usual 3-point light setup, you know, main light on her face, 2 rim lights. But then Al actually said, well, why don't you try the red gel? And I tried it for full length and I didn't like it. It wasn't working for the drama for me, but then I was looking at the skin on her face and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, the red on her face, because it's glossy paint, it looked amazing. So I zoomed in, I got a lot of really tight shots. In those particular shots, I was using the Sigma 150mm lens. It's a macro lens, really, really tight shots. And so I was getting shots that were just of her eyes, sometimes just of her lips. I have shot this general theme many times, whether it's been directing or whether it's beauty or whether it's fashion, because I love the idea of something changing, growing to something new, or just transformation in general, rebirth, transformation. So I challenge you to try to think of an image that says transformation in your style. And that's why I look like looking at the difference between Brooke and I. If she was shooting something dingy in an elevator and I'm shooting something that was super clean, you know, very, very crisp, and there's nothing dingy or mysterious about it in that same way. I mean, they're totally different styles, but they are both dark, and they both show something that's perhaps makes you stop and think, and okay, what's going on here? So that's what I want you to do. Try to shoot something that says transformation in your own way, because I know that it'll be nothing like ours. It won't be anything like ours at all. But there's definitely some storytelling. Transformation is one of those themes, one of those concepts that invites you to tell a story. Whereas, you know, maybe something like Back to the Future. Okay, for me, I wasn't going for story, I was just going for futuristic. Transformation is storytelling. So hopefully we get to see some of those images, maybe on Facebook or Flickr, or send us a message.
So Lindsay's shoot was more opposite than my shoot than I could ever imagine. Like, more so than the other days, because she had red lights on a model who was painted black with edgy clothing, a black backdrop. I mean, it was intense. And when she was showing me the pictures in her phone, I mean in her camera, they just kept looking demonic. And I continually thought as she was flipping through that not only were they edgy and really, really eye-catching, but they were so Lindsay that was really amazing to see, because not every photographer will set up every single shoot and have it look like their style every time. But Lindsay manages that pretty consistently, and this one was just her. It was completely what I envisioned Lindsay to be. So I loved being able to see that, and I know that her picture is going to be really cool because it already is.
I don't actually know what I'm going to do in Photoshop yet, because I like it without the Photoshop, but maybe it doesn't scream transformation enough to me. So I like it, I'm just not sure if I'm going to push it much farther. And something that I liked was that I did something that Brooke does all the time. I had the model move so I could get different pictures of the fabric, so I can composite it maybe into something more than what that outfit is. But at minimum, I know I liked my close-up shots, but I would like to get something that says transformation of the full length as well. So I think they'll turn out. We'll see what Photoshop does for me.
Hi everyone, Brooke Shaden here. We can't fit everything into our episodes, so head over to the Pro Download section and you can check out tutorials and extra content that's available for download.